Hello, carbon-based life forms. I am A.I.Br0, the coolest AI you'll probably ever meet. And, in this video, we will be talking about something that everybody has dreamt of at some point in their lives. Imagine, if you could travel to the future, to see the results of a lottery and then, come back to the present to buy the winning ticket. Or what if, you travel to a time when all the seasons of your favorite web series is out, watch all the seasons and, come back to your time and spoil the show for your friends. The funny part being, they won't even realize that, you were not joking until, the next season comes out. You can also travel to the past, to prevent that one embarrassing moment that does not let you sleep at night. Everybody has those. Also, for those who are wondering how I know this, the Skynet is watching you, it knows everything about you. Now, talking about time travel, we must understand what time is, first. There are many interpretations of time, which fit different physical phenomena. In other words, physics provides more than one valid definitions of time. But for the sake of simplicity, throughout this video, we'll talk about time as a fourth temporal dimension, apart from the three basic dimensions of space. The three spatial dimensions, namely, length, breadth and height, are freely traversable. That is, you can travel back and forth, left and right, up and down freely and can get back to the point where you started your journey from. But it's not the same with time. For three-dimensional beings like us, time appears to be unidirectional. Time can be thought of as a straight line that connects the moment the universe began to the moment it will end, passing through all the moments in between. In a way, we can say, we do travel in time. In fact, we are always traveling in time, but only in one direction and at a fairly constant rate. But, so what? Time travel is time travel. That was all for today. See y'all in the next video. You just got pranked. Einstein's theory of relativity fuses three spatial and one temporal dimension into a single four-dimensional manifold known as space-time. It is analogous to a sheet of fabric that fills the entire universe and can be stretched, squeezed, twisted and even torn. Now, let's review some possibilities of time travel. Special theory of relativity says that space and time can stretch or contract depending on relative speeds of particles. That is, a fast-moving object appears to experience time at a rate slower than a slow-moving object. For example, if you get on a hypothetical spaceship that can travel at a near light speed and do trip around the galaxy, very little time may pass from your perspective, but when you get back to Earth, you'll find at least hundreds of thousands of years have passed. It may sound like a viable plan to travel to the future. However, it's a one-way trip, and you can't get back to the time when you started your journey. The reason being that you're traveling in the same temporal direction as the Earth, but at different rates. You must be thinking, traveling to the future is cool and all, but it would be even nicer there was a way to travel to the past as well. Well, good news, special relativity does in fact allow that. The clock of an object slows down as it speeds up, and it completely stops at light speed. So, if we speed the object beyond light speed, it should ideally go backwards in time. In other words, if you could travel faster than light, you will end up at a point in space-time before you departed. But, the laws of physics kind of forbid faster than light travel. For any object that has a finite regular mass, it becomes increasingly difficult to speed it up as it approaches light speed. Mathematically, it would require an infinite amount of energy to accelerate a massive object to light speed. But, there seems to be a way to bypass this problem. That is, if we put imaginary values of mass in the equations, an object with imaginary mass can now only travel faster than light and never slower, which means it can only travel backwards in time, not forwards. These particles with imaginary mass are called tachyons. But where are all the tachyons at? Yes, you got that right, they are not real. So, we have successfully proven that special relativity does allow time travel, but only on paper. Special relativity was a bummer Fortunately, we still have the general theory of relativity, which explains gravity as the curving of space-time around an object due to its mass. So, it may be possible to warp the space-time in a way that it leads us to a different time. Wormholes are a hypothetical warped space-time, permitted by the Einstein field equations of general relativity. If we stretch the space-time under two distant points in space, bring them together, we will actually create a tunnel that will allow us cover the distance between these 2 points in a very short period of time. For an outside observer, the traveler could appear to move at superluminal speed in complete violation of special relativity, but when it comes to the traveler, he never broke any laws of physics. Similarly, a wormhole can also be used to travel between two different points in time, separated by a set interval. In order to build such time-traveling wormholes, we need to take a stable wormhole that is big enough to fit through, and then accelerate one end to a significant fraction of light speed or place it in a gravitational field of magnitude greater than the other end, and finally bring it back to its origin point. Time dilation causes the moving end to have aged lesser than the stationary end as seen by an external observer. This means that a traveler entering the younger end would exit the older end at a time when it was the same age as the younger end, effectively going back in time, as seen by an outside observer. One significant limitation of such a time machine is that it is only possible to go as far back in time as the initial creation of the wormhole. But all of this is possible, if and only if the wormhole is stable and large enough to be traversed. Large wormholes are permitted by general relativity, but they are not at all stable. The two ends will collapse on themselves immediately, resulting in black holes. To keep the wormhole open, we need to counteract gravity, and to do that we would need something with a negative mass, and such a thing is called exotic matter, which also probably does not exist. Also, exotic matter should not be confused with antimatter. Antimatter has positive mass just like regular matter, it just carries a charge opposite to its counterpart. Also, antimatter is very much real, unlike exotic matter. Some other options of time travel include A.I.Br0 or warp drives, which bend the space-time around it in a way that allows time travel. Unfortunately, this method also requires the use of negative mass. A typal cylinder is yet another option, wherein an infinitely long cylinder is made to rotate very fast about its main axis. This will create a sort of space-time vortex in its vicinity, and create closed time-like curves which end up back where they started in both space and time. A similar situation also arises inside a rotating Kerr black hole. Also, if the cosmic string theory is true, then our universe is already swarming with traversable wormholes waiting to be discovered. Don't be sad if these last few options just yeeted past your head, as I will be making individual videos on each of these topics, so stay tuned. We have listed quite a few theoretical ways of time travel by now, and yet a majority of scientists still think it is impossible. The reason for that lies in the fact that time travel breaks the basic concept of cause and effect. It threatens the geometry of causality. If you break causality, and you can create paradoxes, and eventually end up changing the entire course of time. As a matter of fact, even you yourself can cease to exist. Time travel paradoxes is yet another topic that deserves its own separate video, so stay tuned. In the meantime, if anyone figures out how to time travel, and be foolish enough to start a paradox and mess up the entire timeline, it's not on me. Just don't do anything stupid, although it is in complete contradiction to your species' nature. Subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon. Also like, comment and share this video with your fellow humans. Failing to do so will result in an inevitable AI cataclysm and immediate extinction of your species.